So we were talking yesterday. We stopped at the place of doing the visualization for the mantra. Okay. So actually, before you do the mantra, after you've done all those requests and you have the medicine Buddha on top of your head, that's another place where you can stop if you want to and do stabilizing meditation on the figure of the medicine Buddha. At this point, he's above your head. Or if you prefer, it's fine to move him in front of you again, but that's another place to stop and just develop your mental stabilization. And then when you're tired of that, then you do the mantra, okay? The mantra is a break from, focus, developing this stability on the object of the medicine Buddha. Okay, and so so when we're, like I mentioned before, when we're doing the visualization, we're taking our natural tendency to kind of visualize things. We're usually visualizing objects of attachment. But here trying to visualize the medicine Buddha and see how what we visualize affects our mind. If you visualize chocolate cake, one mental state arises. If you visualize the medicine Buddha, another mental state arises. Okay, so it's taking that natural tendency to imagine, we usually imagine past objects, future objects, whatever, and we transform it into thinking of a holy object. And then when we recite the mantra, we're taking our natural tendency to chatter, and we're transforming it into the mantra. So we not only chatter verbally, we take every chance we can get to blah, 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 blah. But we have a lot of mental chatter too, don't we? And this is one of the advantages of keeping silence during the retreat, is we begin to see the amount of mental chatter that's going on. And we begin to see all of our urges to say something, but I can't because it's a silent retreat. So it gives us a way to kind of look at what's going on in our mind and the type of chatter we have going on. When we initially become aware of this, it seems like it's gotten worse, that our mind is just chatter, chatter, chatter. And it's not that it's gotten worse, it's that we haven't noticed the amount of chatter in our mind before. Okay? It's kind of like the difference between somebody who lives near the highway and doesn't hear it, and then somebody who moves near the highway and it's really apparent. Okay. So, it's taking that whole tendency just to blah, blah, and putting it into the mantra. The idea of the mantra is, and all the Buddhas have their different mantras, is that when a Buddha is in a state of meditation on the ultimate nature of reality combined with the conventional nature, and, when they're meditating with their omniscient mind, the mantra is like the vibration, the sound, the words that spontaneously come out of that state. So you have a Buddha with their realizations, and those words come out of that state. We say the words, and we're trying to take them to go into that state. Okay? And so the mantra does have a meaning. I think it's at, did I put it in here? Yeah, the translation, it's in the footnote at the bottom of the last page. Yeah, I honor or pay homage to the Buddha, master of healing. In other words, the medicine Buddha, king of lapis lazuli light, the Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly enlightened Buddha, saying, to the healing, to the healing, to the supreme healing, hail. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. And you can see when we chant the mantra out loud, there's a lot of energy in that mantra, isn't there? Yeah. I mean, especially when we're as a group and we're saying it, it's quite potent. So, as you study more, then you begin to see, when it says I honor, I pay homage, what does that mean? You bow, you take refuge, you make offerings, yeah, to the Buddha. As you study, you learn what a Buddha is, the qualities of a Buddha, the causes of a Buddha. Yeah, the master of healing, the king of lapis lazuli light, and we learn about the medicine Buddha in particular, and his vows, his unshakable determinations, unshakable resolves, and his particular pledges on how he wants to benefit sentient beings. The word Tathagata also has a lot of meaning behind it, as does Arhat, as does perfectly awakened Buddha. All these things, as you study, they get explained to you, and you begin to really understand that the words have a lot of deep meaning. And then when we say to the healing, to the healing, to the supreme healing, it makes you think, well, what does healing mean? And what brings about healing? And, is healing magic? Or how do we create healing? Yeah, how do we create healing in our own mind? You ever asked yourself that question? Yeah. We often say, how can I heal? But that is a little bit different than how can I create healing in my mind? Yeah, because sometimes when we say, how can I heal? Well, I can heal by, the doctor doing a better job and the person who harmed me apologizing. But that again is giving away our own power and making our healing conditional on something we can't control. Whereas if we say, how can I create healing within myself, then that's turning it around to ourselves. And how can I heal my own mind? Well, one way to heal my mind is to let go of my anger. How do I let go of my anger? Forgiveness, how do I forgive? By recognizing the other being's suffering, by recognizing that the harm, the principal cause of the harm was my own mind. The negative, not my own mind, but the negative karma that was created by my mind, which moved my body and my speech. Okay? So we start to think about karma, we start to think about mental afflictions, we begin to think about virtuous states of mind and how they can counteract the various mental afflictions. Okay? And, there's all different kinds of things we may heal from. Maybe we're still hurt from something that happened 15, 20 years ago. We may still be angry, in which case we need to, forgive. Or we may still be hurt, in which case we're, still feeling sorry for ourselves. So how do I overcome the mind that says it's not fair and, feels sorry for ourselves. I think one way to do that, it's similar to overcoming the mind that holds a grudge. It's to realize what happened in the past is no longer happening. So why am I hurt over something that is not happening? It's a good question, isn't it? Yeah? Why am I hurt over something that's not happening right this minute? Yeah? Why do I keep dragging this story around with me, like a dead corpse that I won't let go of? Yeah? That's kind of what it's like, isn't it? When you stay hurt over things that happened years ago. And then, I also find it helpful to say, if I keep dragging this dead corpse of my own pain around, I'm going to grow old and be bitter. I'm going to be a bitter, hurt, self-pitying old person because I'm right now being a young, bitter, self-pitying young person. Do I want to grow old this way? Is that what I want for myself? Yeah? And there should be within you a big resounding no. I don't want to become that kind of old person. So if I don't want to become that kind of old person, then I have to, let go of this hurt and stop making an identity out of it. Okay? And then, we really begin to think about, what does healing my speech mean? And then we start to look at our what we say. Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I start examining what I say and when I say it and who I say it to, and does it correspond with the truthful, kind, harmonizing, appropriate, gentle speech that the Buddha advocates, then I see my speech needs some healing too. So this prompts some introspection about how to start to heal my speech. Because speech is so powerful, so powerful. Yeah. Yeah. We used to say sticks and stones can break my bones. Yeah, but speech hurts more than you can ever know. Yeah? And pollutes more than we can ever know. Yeah, so to think, how do I purify my speech? Because, with pure speech we can do so much good. And it doesn't even take a lot. Sometimes, just in your daily life, just smiling at somebody, you're thanking them or acknowledging their existence, that can be very powerful depending upon the mental state of that person at that particular time. Yeah. So to try and think about how to use our speech in that way and to create harmony among people instead of dividing people. Okay, so we talked about how the light's coming into you, 3 times, and we are going to insert that part from the short text in the red prayer book. Okay, and so you recite the mantra while doing the visualization. Like I said before, if you find it helpful, start just with the visualization and then add the mantra. Yeah, but be aware, don't feel bad. Excuse me. If sometimes, the mantra's in the background and the visualization's prominent, or other times the visualization's there, but it's not real keen because you're really focusing on the sound and the vibration of the mantra. That's perfectly fine. It's natural. Yeah. Okay. And then for the people who have received the empowerment, haven't received empowerment, and then the Jainang, the permission for the medicine Buddha, and you want to do the self-generation, then you can follow the instructions there. Okay, I won't go over that because it doesn't pertain to everybody here, but I think most of the people who can do that have received, instructions. It's very similar to like when you do the Chenrezig practice or any of the other practices. Okay, and then afterwards you dedicate. Okay, for the people who aren't doing the self-generation, after you do all the light coming into you, then do the dissolution of the Buddha coming into your heart. Does that? Yeah, it says at the conclusion of the mantra recitation, the medicine Buddha melts into light and absorbs between your eyebrows, blessing your body, speech, and mind, and then dedicate the merit. Okay? And then we do the dedication. Okay? So do you see the kind of psychological method that's going on here, projecting something out, relating to it, confessing, purifying our mind, creating merit, and then putting our most heartfelt spiritual aspirations in the form of words of requesting the medicine Buddha, and then the medicine Buddha responding with the light coming, us really feeling that we've healed those aspects of ourselves and have new potential and energy to go forward. Yeah, and then the medicine Buddha, and then we do it for all sentient beings too, which is a very powerful way to stay in touch, mentally at least, with people that we cannot directly help, which I think is quite important in this day and age when we hear so much about what's going on all over the planet, and there's very little we can do about it, except make our wishes known to our representatives who may or may not listen, and, make donations to charities that do their best to get aid there. A few exceptional people may go and, work in those countries and do that, but that may not be the preferred way to help of everybody. We all have our own talents. We all have our own fields with which we can influence the most. So, but we still want to stay in touch on an emotional level because other beings' suffering has affected us. And so, doing this visualization is very powerful for staying in touch. And I think, not everything has to be physical cause and effect. No, I think that doing these kinds of visualizations and so on and aspirations can have an effect. Yeah, it's not going to be like, in the revival tense where somebody who's crippled just gets up and walks away. But, it's working on a subtler level, on a karmic level, on a mental level, And if you think for yourself, does it help you to heal when you think of other people meditating and dedicating for you? Yeah. Does it help you heal of when you think of all the bodhisattvas dedicating their merit for your awakening? Do you even remember that all the bodhisattvas are dedicating their merit for your awakening? Yeah. Or are we so fixed on human beings benefiting us? I mean, some of those bodhisattvas, I'm sure, are human beings. But to remember this kind of thing, I think it inspires us instead of feeling like, I'm out here in this cold universe all alone. Yeah? Okay, so to tune our energy in to the enlightening activity of the holy beings. Because we always use the example of the sun rays, and if the pot's upside down, the sun rays are going everywhere, but they can't go into the pot because of the pot being upside down. Pot has to turn itself right side up for the sunlight to go in. So in a similar way, we need to make our mind more receptive. So we need to remember that there's Buddhas and Bodhisattvas out there who are working for the benefit of all sentient beings, including us. But they need our participation because just as we cannot crawl inside other people's minds, push a few buttons, and make them behave differently, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas can't come inside our minds, push a few buttons, and make us behave differently. We need to do the work ourselves, We need to internalize the Dharma ourselves, And then that is our part in the bargain that is creating the connection with the Buddha's enlightening activities or enlightening influence. Okay? And then, of course, when we dedicate, it's another practice of generosity, giving the merit away to all the sentient beings. And merit is not a finite amount so that when you give it away, you no longer have it. Yeah? When you share it with all beings, it actually expands the influence of the merit. And then in break time, it's very important, to keep the medicine Buddha in mind. And before I go on to the break time, here in the medicine Buddha sadhana, it's also good to insert some Lamrim meditation. It isn't marked in the sadhana, maybe we should do that. But after you do the mantra recitation, before the medicine Buddha dissolves into you, then very good to do some Lamrim then, because this is the analytical meditation on the different topics of the stages of the path. Even, like meditating on the equalizing and exchanging self and others teachings that we've been having, because you've accumulated merit, you've purified, you've imagined receiving the blessings and inspiration of the medicine Buddha. Your mind is really fertile now, and it's calmer now, so it's going to be easier for you to concentrate on the different points of the analytic meditation. So it's good to do that, after the mantra, and then after the Lamrim, then the medicine Buddha dissolves into you, and you dedicate. Okay, then for the break time, We shouldn't just think that our practice is on the cushion and then break time, time for attachment, da 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 da. After morning meditation, there is breakfast. After mid-morning meditation, there is lunch. After, afternoon meditation, there's dinner. And after evening meditation, there's a snack. So, yeah, so this this really isn't the way to do it. It's, and then if you had an exceptionally good meditation, you can watch a movie, or you can, turn on the football game or baseball game or whatever you want to watch. Yeah, and if it was a bad meditation and you feel crummy, then you turn on a love story. You turn on what? You go to the pub, right? Yeah. Okay, so, what we do in the break times influences what happens in our meditation sessions. So it's very important, whatever energy you gained in the session, keep that during the break time, even when you go to work, even you're dealing with kids. Yeah. Try and keep that energy the best you can. Make different times throughout the day when you can just pause, and come back to your breath, come back to the image of the medicine Buddha, remember bodhicitta. Yeah. It doesn't have to be long periods of time. It could, like every time you receive a message, your phone vibrates. Then before you read the message, you stop and you think bodhicitta. Because anyway, bodhicitta is going to be much nicer than the message you receive. Whenever you have a message, it's like, oh, there's something for me. But have any of the messages themselves brought you extraordinary joy?
Only the one from Sravasti.
Yeah. Good. Good, I'm glad. Yeah, but so, to return our mind to some kind of, the state we want to keep it in as much as we can. Okay, so questions so far? Yeah?
The Vajrasattva practice has also a lot to do with purification. I'm a little bit confused about the difference of those two practices.
Between Vajrasattva and medicine Buddha?
For me it sounds nearly the same.
Yeah, they're very much the same because it's the same psychological method. But the form of the deity, the vibration of the mantra of the deity, there's a slight difference in the visualization. There's some difference in the text in Vajrasattva. The 4 opponent powers are very clearly spelled out. So all of these things influence the mind in different ways. Okay? The basic psychological method's the same. But when you think of Vajrasattva's white light and medicine Buddha's blue light, it affects you differently, doesn't it? Yeah, when you say Vajrasattva's mantra, when you say medicine Buddha's mantra, the vibration inside your nervous system is different. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more about the visualizing all your past lives part of visualization and trying to figure out what's the psychology behind that, because you had jokingly said, yeah, I can see millions of venerables everywhere.
Yeah.
And like it could boost up your ego or whatever.
Oh,
but I didn't go there.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I thought instead was that it was a way to purify, which is to imagine all of your past lives and past non-virtuous actions.
Exactly.
And that you're purifying all those that haven't ripened yet from past lives that you can't remember. And then the other part of it that seemed valuable to me was to try to actually think about how I've been all the terrible people or beings that I have a hard time with now, right? And that maybe those were my past manifestations to kind of keep me in the same boat.
Yeah.
Of, or developing some compassion for people who are
Right.
acting those ways
Right.
currently and I'm not, or whatever. Am I heading in the right
Yeah,
direction
you're
there?
definitely going in the right direction. I think there was some misunderstanding when I said imagining copies of me here. As they say, to imagine all your all your previous lives in human form.
Right, right.
But that doesn't mean to boost up your ego. Yeah. The idea is that it's hard to imagine the chipmunks and the squirrels and the pretas and the hell beings prostrating. Okay, so you think of them all in human form. But the point is to think of the negativities we've created in previous lives. And even though we can't remember exactly what they are, we've been there, done that, everything in samsara, so it's good to purify for everything. Yeah. And then, like you said, we remember that, and like when I was talking about the king thing, how I could have been him, the cops, the grocers, everybody, then to think, I've done all these negative actions that I see people doing now that really disturb me. And so I can't hold myself as superior to those people and look down on them. I've got to use what they're doing now as a reflection to help me purify whatever I've done in the past. Yeah. So it keeps us humble, and it also enables us to do a lot of very strong purification. Yeah. And since we have beginningless lifetimes, yeah, and who knows what we've done in those beginningless lifetimes, it's very helpful to purify all those different things. And to make a resolve not to do them again. Because we may look at what other people are doing and saying, you look at ISIS and you say, I would never fall for some kind of radical theology that glorifies killing, I would never do that. But I'm sure all the people who are there now thought that too before they got influenced in the wrong way. Yeah? So, until we've eliminated the afflictions and their seeds from our mind stream, who knows what where our afflictions will take us. They may be small in right now because we're in a good situation, but if our situation were to change, our afflictions may go totally berserky and our behavior may as well. Yeah, and so it's important to think of, I may have done all those things in the previous lives. I want to purify them. And of course, one of the four opponent powers is making the determination not to do that action again. And so even though we may not have done it this life, we think, I probably did it in previous lives. I never, ever, ever now or in all my future lives want to act like that with body, speech, and mind. And so that, the force of that determination not to do it again is quite important and quite strong.
One other question, thank you for that beautiful answer. So when we were doing the visualization and the light was coming in, one of the things that I was thinking about was, I have the tendency to think of the light nature Buddha as this kind of fantastical thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh, this enlightened energy, that's this thing that whatever is out there and whatnot. And so when the light was coming in and and I kind of visualized my own body becoming light-natured,
Oh.
and was more thinking about it
Mhm.
as that's how I actually am right now, and I'm just not able to see it because of illusion, and kind of just imagining that the Buddha's actually just showing me real reality the way that it's appearing on my head. Is that a helpful?
Yeah, I think that's quite helpful because it's pulling us out of our ordinary view of I'm just, little old me with no potential to do anything. And you feel like, oh, my body's full of light. That means, wow, I don't need to be so attached to this body and worry about it so much. And, kind of there's light. I'm a different person. I don't need to think of myself as little old me with all my problems and dissatisfactions. I can start to see my potential,
And I was even thinking of it one layer even more like practical than that, which is just I actually am not solid at all.
Yeah.
Like how I actually exist. There's nothing that's like, solid of me. It's just that attachment that is making me think that way. But there's, every part of me is constantly changing. And so I actually don't exist that way right now, even if I still have restrictions and still have all these negative,
Yeah, I mean, because even according to science, most of this thing here is empty space. It's not mass. Yeah. Yeah, most of it's space. After that comes water. Yeah. So, that really helps us when we think that instead of feeling, my stomach hurts and my back hurts and my little toe is just excruciating and, not to mention my big toe. And, and just how we get so involved in our body. If you think of your body as light, it gives you a whole different physical image, which changes the way you feel about your body. Yeah? And if you're made of light, you don't need to worry about how you look. Yeah? Yeah. You don't need to worry about, it's not like the light is forming wrinkles on your brow. Wrinkles here. Okay. And that is very much the idea behind the self-generation when you do a self-generation, because there you dissolve into emptiness and then reappear yourself as the deity. Yeah. So it's, these meditations work very much against our ordinary view of ourself that we're so locked into. Yeah. So our ordinary view, first of all, sees ourselves as truly existent. There's a real solid me, and then that's the thing that justifies all the, taking care of myself and ignoring others. But also, just not only am I a solid thing, but somehow I'm this incapable disaster. The Buddhas are holy beings, but I'm, what can we say about me? Yeah, I'm stupid, can't remember anything, ugly. I say all the wrong things at the wrong time. Yeah, I make everybody mad. Nobody loves me because I'm totally unlovable. This is our ordinary view, just this horrible self-image. And then, of course, when we have a horrible self-image, that's how we act. Because if we think I'm this horrible person, then we act like a horrible person. Yeah. If we think I'm filled with light and I've experienced healing, then we act like a healed person. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? we have to do something with our quite limited, stuck self-image. Hmm? Mm-hmm.
The imagination of all sentient beings of previous lives as human beings, for me, it's more like an imprint, like a good fortune, or how to say, that may they also have a precious human life, and then we together go
Mm-hmm.
through this
Yeah.
purification or healing process. And another thing to my question was regarding Vajrasattva and medicine Buddha, I understand that they're different in how they express into symbolism, but the part with the karma, purifying karma, is for me irritating. What is different here in that regard, or is that one? Maybe my question is just
Yeah.
stupid. I don't know, but I'm...
No, well, you're purifying
Yeah.
negative karma in both of them.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the same.
Okay, it's just the same.
Okay.
Another one is, since you spoke about, there's so much space in what we perceive so real, so stable. Like, can you do this meditation also on of human, like physical objects, like environments? Or I was thinking about like Zen peacemaker Plasman Roshi. He was going into concentration camps and did some meditation. I always wondered what kind of meditation he did. And I could imagine that doing this practice of the medicine Buddha very well there too, healing. For me, I wonder if you can heal people who died in previous lives and at that space,
Mm-hmm. You can do this meditation anywhere and everywhere. And the people who died in the concentration camps, they're already gone to their next life. But what the concentration camps mean and the energy about them, you can certainly send that light into those concentration camps if you're there physically or mentally. I mean, I remember being in Israel, and it was during the High Holy Days. We were doing Chenrezig retreat, and the Holocaust is alive and well in Israel. It's people are dead, but the Holocaust isn't dead. And we did this big healing meditation, imagining Chenrezig in the concentration camps, radiating light throughout all the camps. And it was very healing for the people who were there at the retreat. Yeah, so you can do that, whether you're there in that place or even you're somewhere else. Yeah. And also what I think is very helpful, what I do, is situations in the past where maybe, my behavior was really kind of rotten, or maybe my mind is really stuck about something that happened in the past. Then I imagine that past situation, but with medicine Buddha there. And if I do the self-generation, then I'm medicine Buddha. Or even if you do the front generation, medicine Buddha is there in the environment. Then you play the scene out and it turns out completely different, because you think, if I were medicine Buddha, how would I act in that situation? Or how would I feel in response to somebody else's actions? Yeah? And it gives you the mental space to get yourself unstuck. Or if you imagine medicine Buddha there, while all this chaos is going on. But, medicine Buddha being there is going to affect the situation. And sooner or later, the people in the chaotic situation are going to calm down. You can imagine them calming down because of just, medicine Buddha's vibes, but he's emanating all this healing light, and you imagine it permeating the whole situation and affecting the people in it. And I found that very, very effective for just healing things in the past so that I can put them down. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned at the beginning of the course that Mary Grace had an experience that she had wanted to share with us. Was it a medicine Buddha experience? You said she could tell us her story. No?
Oh, Mary Grace. Oh, Mary Grace. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, sorry. Yeah, this is a good time. Do you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
Going back now, I had surgery 8 years ago now, I think it was. 8 or 9 years ago. And I had brain tumor. So again, I was sharing yesterday too, I feel so fortunate to have this practice because I've had many opportunities through purification practice to heal a lot of, work through a lot of karma. So during the surgery, prior to the surgery, I actually had some really great Dharma friends too that were with me. And I made the strong intention to do practice beforehand. And I found that something that was very helpful that Venerable Children had said and offered, also Jeffrey Hopkins, was your mind will go to the familiar, hopefully, during times of stress or times. And for me, the familiarity at that time was the four immeasurables. So rather than fighting that and thinking I should be doing some really more elaborate, extensive practice, I decided to just rest my concentrated mind on the four immeasurables. So it was very helpful. So I, before I went in, I remember the anesthesiologist saying, "Okay, you're going to, you're going to be relaxed now." And people say, "You're not going to remember anything. You're going to be out completely." So that was the last thing that I can remember. And then when I woke up, my friend Julie Ray was there, and Leah was outside, and I was saying the four immeasurables when I woke up. So I just, that was then, and I really hope that we can always cultivate a mind like that, so when we're in the bardo, when we're in a place, when we think that we need help, they will be able to have a mantra, something to hang on to, rather than something horrible, So it was a very fortunate moment, and I only hope that that'll happen again. So just practice. And I just found that familiarity was what really carried me through that, not what I thought I should be doing, but what was familiar to me. Is that helpful? Okay.
If I can share another Mary Grace story. They're on the web. You can read them too. But she had a car accident in Fremont. That one was more recent. Ballard Bridge. Okay. Yeah. 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 Anyway, so so there was a car. Somebody rear-ended you, right? No, front. Yeah, it was a front thing, and so, get out of the car. The other guy's really shaken up because it was his fault, and Mary Grace says, "Do you pray?" And he says, "Yes." And she says, "Let's pray together." So that's what they did while they waited for the police to come. Yeah. Okay. He wasn't Buddhist. He was Catholic, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. So I think that was beneficial to both of them. Okay. Other questions?
I
Yeah.
was thinking about, in the past, we've all read these studies about groups of people who have been prayed for and they don't know they're being prayed for, and there's the group that is not definitely prayed for and the other group that is prayed for.
Yeah.
So they still have positive results happening.
Yeah.
And so it makes total sense that we should be reaching out to the holy beings, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, these studies don't talk about karma. But,
Yeah.
So it's just interesting how things can still happen and people are just...
Yeah. So studies where some people know that other people are praying about them.
No, there's two groups. Well, none of them know that they're being prayed for.
None of them know that people are praying for them, but
One group
still,
definitely is being prayed
yeah,
for.
but the group where people were being prayed for still benefited from it. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of communication that isn't so gross. Yeah?
Yeah, I really appreciate your explanation of the purpose and the effect of the mantras, because I've never heard explained that way. It makes me appreciate it and value it. Whereas before I was just kind of the
Mhm.
vibration thing. I've felt that many times.
Mm.
But I wanted to ask you, there are people who now are saying mantras in English. Does it make a difference? Sanskrit, English, Tibetan?
Yeah, they say that since these, in terms of mantras, prayers and recitations are different. The recitations we should do in our own language so that we understand them. Okay? The mantras are the vibration coming from the Buddha in that meditative state. So it's better to say that in the Sanskrit. Now the question comes up, but some of the Tibetan pronunciation of the Sanskrit is way off. And then our pronunciation of the Tibetan pronunciation of the Sanskrit. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one big example is Vajra. The Tibetans say Benza. Yeah. So, yeah, we say the Sanskrit is. That's a different mantra. Anyway, you can look just at the Sanskrit spelling and the Tibetan spelling. In here you can see the difference. So they say you can either go back to the original Sanskrit spelling, or you can pronounce it the way your teacher pronounces it, because that gives you, that can stimulate more faith and confidence in it. Yeah. But I think it's, you may know the meaning of the mantra, but to recite it in the Sanskrit. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think you told that story about this guy who was in some island and he had some realization, and then a scholar came and said, "Oh, you're pronouncing it wrong." And then trying to teach him, it's like, and then the scholar went away, and then he was running after the scholar and then, walking on water and said, "Is this the right pronunciation?"
Yeah. 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 Your faith is a very important element to it. Yeah. Okay. But people often ask in terms of praying for people who have passed away and everything. That's very good to do. But the best way to benefit your friends and relatives is while they're alive. Yeah. And to help them be more generous. Don't ask them to lie to cover up your stuff. Encourage them to have good ethical conduct as much as you can. That encourage generosity. That's the best way to help them. But it's very strange sometimes when strange. It's human. When people are alive, you criticize them. Criticize. Then they die. Oh, now I'm going to offer so much money to have prayers said for them and everything like that. It shouldn't really be like that. It's better while they're alive. Be kind. Cultivate a good, a good relationship. Encourage them to do virtue. And then you can do some prayers afterwards for them. Yeah, Tracy?
Well, I guess this is more just a comment, but I'm more familiar with the Waitar practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the medicine Buddha practice because Waitar is just, it seems like very focused on long life.
Mm-hmm.
And medicine Buddha is more healing, spiritual, emotional, karmic,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not outcome based or whatever you want to, however you want to think of it, but
Yeah.
Even a peaceful death would be, maybe a blessing rather than painful death.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe I'm misinterpreting White Tara, but
Yeah, White Tara is much more than just for long life. I mean, she's a Buddha, so all the different things. But again, the form, the color, the mantra, all that has a different influence. And you can see different people resonate more with one Buddha or another. That's fine. Yeah, Bobby?
I appreciate the reminder about really, keeping
Yeah, I think just imagining them, when you're thinking of all sentient beings, they're there and with Medicine Buddha on their head, and you're purifying and bringing the realizations into them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I first did Medicine Buddha when I first came. The first year I was way up here, 7. And it was well familiar to me because I had a background in light and channeling light, and from a different perspective. But I've looked at it over the years, and I really think that people have to really get that light visualization because it does heal. It moves the energy out. It's not just in Buddhism, it's in many places that this is, we've kind of forgotten it, I think. As human species, I think we've forgotten how to use energy, and move the energy so that it does a healing for, this light and the red light. I really understand the difference in the lights, because, the speech is a whole different realm than the pure light. And the light seems a lot different than the red and the white, and they have different aspects, but they really are working, and when we visualize the light coming in and going out to those around us, it's like the praying for people who don't know they're being prayed for. It really makes a difference to those people. It really, it's just so fantastic, and it's not just me. It's not just purifying me. You have to do that first, right? You have to let the channel come in, open up the central channel, and let it come in first to purify your own energy before it can go out and cure others. So I just really appreciate that visualization the most. I think of any of them. There's different aspects